Hello YouTube. Today I'll be telling you what decks are the most suitable ones for Magic. So it actually depends, and you can use both white decks or black decks. But I'll tell you the ups and downs of using a black deck and a white deck for Magic. So let's just get to the white decks first. Okay, just black decks first. Okay. So using black decks, the good side of using black decks for Magic is that they really look awesome because they're a work of art and they can really attract people to you, and that way you can show the magic. So if you use black decks, you can really attract people to you, and you can lure them into you, so they'll see your magic tricks. And black decks are really cool, so that way they will be more impressed, maybe, and I think so, yeah. But the bad side about using a black deck for Magic is because or any custom deck, like a white custom deck or a black deck, is that they are quite expensive, like more expensive than a normal rider back. So, and usually when they take a card, for example, you say pick a card, and then when they take it, and then you say don't let me see it, and they're so protective, they put it in their hands or wrap it around, and they will damage it. So that's really something you don't want to happen to your decks. They don't know, usually if they don't know the USBCC deck or something, they don't know that these decks are actually made from good quality and they are expensive. Then they would just treat them like cheap cards. When you see them, they'll bend it like that, or they'll protect it like that, or they put it to your chest, and they put it to their chest, and they don't want you to see it. So they can be quite harsh to your cards. So that's why you wouldn't want to use a black deck for Magic. I mean, that's one of the problems you should consider when you do Magic on the streets. But if you do with your friends, you just tell them to be careful. But that's certainly a problem if you do it on the streets or do street Magic. So those are the ups and downs for the black deck. The good side, the advantage from using black decks as for Magic, is that they really look amazing. Even me as a magician, even if I use cards, even if I use the black cards, I'm amazed myself. It's really entertaining myself, not only the audience but myself also. And the bad thing is that they can really be harsh to your cards, and they'll bend your cards, and especially if you get a rare deck or something. But actually, this applies not only black decks but also white decks, but just custom cards, especially the expensive ones and the rare ones. So if you use a limited edition expensive deck, then I don't actually recommend you to do it. But custom decks, they look amazing, but they just you can't really trust your spectators to take care of your cards 100%. Okay, so now we'll get to the white cards. Okay. So white cards, and what the really famous one, of course, as we all know, is the bicycle standards and rider backs. And I'll tell you the ups and downs of using these. Okay, so the good side of using a bicycle standard deck, is that they are cheap. They're really cheap, like $3 or $2.9, and they handle quite good, and they're really nice for Magic because, as you see in the television, most of the magicians use a bicycle rider back or standards because it's just magicians like to use the classic one, the classic deck, so people know that it's a bicycle rider back or something. Yeah. And these cards, they're cheap, so if the spectators are a bit harsh with them, or if they accidentally bend them or rip them apart or something, then it's okay because the magician can buy like another one. It's just for $3, and why should you care, right? It's just really cheap, and it also handles really nice. So that's why they're one of the choices for magicians. Okay, sorry for dropping the cards. Okay, sorry. Okay. Wait, I just dropped another. Okay, whatever. So, and also another advantage of using them is that you can do a torn and restored card trick. You know, like pick a card and sign it and rip it apart, and then you can just restore it by magicians. Like they usually do that, and they can easily do that with a normal bicycle deck. But I don't actually recommend you to do that with an expensive black deck, right? Because they're expensive and you can't just buy another one easily. And like if you just rip them apart, like you all know that ripping turn and store card tricks, they don't actually rip them apart. They actually rip them apart, so they don't actually restore it. But they just look cool. But the cards, once they get ripped, they can't be cured. They can't be restored, like literally restored. So like the deck is just dead. Okay, so the deck is just ripped apart and you can't mend it or anything. That's why you shouldn't actually use a black deck for turn and restore card trick or bending them or anything like that. And but actually the tricks, it also depends on what trick you use and what trick you do. So that also qualifies like what deck you should use. So what deck you should use sometimes also depends on what tricks you do. Like as I said, a turn and short card trick, you can use a bicycle rider back, but not with a black deck. But if it's just like normal tricks, then yeah, fine, you can do it. But if you do tricks that involve only yourself and the spectators only as audience, like if they only watch it and they don't touch the cards, then you can use any deck, any expensive deck you want. But if it involves the spectator picking a card and putting it back in the deck and shuffling the deck, then I highly recommend you to use the bicycle rider backs. So overall, it depends on what tricks you do. Okay, what tricks you do and what the spectators are, and you can also like evaluate, see what are the spectators like, what the spectators are like if they're if you see they're a bit clumsy, then don't give them expensive decks. But if they're careful, if you see they're careful, then it's okay. So it depends. It actually depends. So it depends on your choice. And actually, if you want to use a rare deck or an expensive deck for Magic or rip them apart, then sure, because they give the spectators and people amazing impressions. Like that means this person is really daring to rip a card with a rare deck. So yeah, so I just say it again that black decks, they are really nice and they look really cool. So they're really attractive and they can really attract people to you, and they look really nice and people can be impressed with black decks. And with an original with a bicycle rider back deck, yeah, it's cheap and many magicians use it. It's the best deck for magicians, the most recommended deck because it's cheap, it handles really nice, and a lot of people use it. So that's the good thing about a white deck. But for black deck and other custom decks, is people may not be careful about it. So that's one of the things you should know. And the bad thing about normal decks is just they're just this doesn't actually look cool. you compare side to side normal bicycle standard and Tally-Ho Viper or another black deck, then of course you would choose this deck because it looks more awesome and looks more cool. And this one is just like, if you use this you just get bored with it. So yeah, and I hope this helps you in choosing what deck you want. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.